Hi everyone, just going to do a quick video for the GCSE non-fiction reading exam. So this is paper 2. So we're going to look at an extract from 127 hours. I will tell you what that is about later on. Going to do a quick video as possible. So we're not going to do question 1 because that's just the information retrieval. So we're looking at the language analysis. So question 2 and question 4 are that kind of question. Okay, so remember this is how the paper 2 exam looks. You've got 2 extracts, so questions 1 and 2 are on the modern extract, 3 and 4 are on the older one, and then 5 and 6 you're looking at talking about both. So question 1, 3, 5 and 6 are information retrieval. If you're looking for a grade sort of 7, 8 or 9, then grade 6 we could turn that more into a yellow kind of question, so analysing the language. But for students looking for grade 4, 5, 6, I would be just picking out the quotes and saying whatever the question's asking for. So for example, question 1 on this exam question is, how much time did the men spend skiing each day? Somewhere in the extract you look through it and somewhere it will say the men spent 12 hours skiing each day, and you can literally write down 12 hours. Okay, 3 and 4 are worth the 10 marks and 6 is worth the 10 marks as well. But remember, you're looking at both texts on question 6. You're not going to have time to dive into lots of analysis, so that's what I would suggest, just finding the quotes like you do for 1, 2, 3 and for 1, 3 and 5. Okay, so question 2 then. The question we're looking at is, how does Aron Ralston show how awful his accident was? You should comment on what he says, his use of language, tone and structure. Again, if you're looking for grade 4, 5 and 6, I would probably just concentrate on the language used. So remember the how question for paper 2 is just the same as paper 1. Explain why you picked the quote and what the words mean for the accident for the reader. Use as many examples, quotes as possible. So if this question is how bad his accident was, look for 7, 8, 9, 10 quotes that make the accident seem as bad as possible. Remember, the reason why we want a lot of quotes is these 2 people here, example 1, example 2, these are past students. I would say they're both quite similar in terms of how good they were, their English skills. However, example 1 only had 2 quotes, and example 2 had 8 quotes. So 2 quotes, 2 marks, 8 quotes, 8 marks. So like I said, they're very similar in terms of skills in English, but example 2's got far better exam technique. Remember, the examiner wants loads of quotes. What the examiner doesn't want is you giving a quote and then explaining it for 5 or 6 lines. They want you to pick a quote, explain why the writer has decided to use it. Okay, so you also need a range of quotes from the beginning, middle and end of the extract. So if you did what is on the screen now, you'd be marked down because you've not shown the examiner you've read the whole extract. So we don't want that. And we want something like this. So it doesn't have to be literally every paragraph, but just show the examiner you've gone through the whole extract. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, this question is about where a writer deliberately uses words on purpose, intentionally, to achieve a special effect. In this question, it's how does the writer use words deliberately to make his accident seem really bad? Zoom in on key words and think, why has the writer used them? So really basic example would be, you've got 2 quotes. She spoke to the man and she shouted at the man. Okay, so the writer might have started off with she spoke to the man, but she wants to use the different verb shouted to portray something else. So by the writer changing the word, they changed the way the woman's presented. What is the writer trying to say with the word shouted? Okay, so really simply, this verb, pretty soft, pretty neutral, but shout, this might be the image we get. Okay, so I've put the word shouted suggests the woman may be angry at the man. So really basic, but if you did 4 or 5 of these in a question, you're looking at about getting a grade for all the way through. Okay, again, she hit the man. Here the writer has chosen to use the adverb forcefully at the end. Okay, so forcefully suggests she punched the man with a lot of power. So hit is already quite a strong verb, but forcefully really tells us that there was some whack behind the punch. Okay, so quickly before we go on to 127 hours, another example of this sort of question is this guy here did a trip around the world, sailed around the world on his own, and this exam question was, how does the writer show that his trip or voyage was really tough? Okay, so one of the quotes I picked out was the weather was torture for Mike. It could have said the weather was a problem, the weather was bad. Why have they chosen to use the word torture? Well, what are the connotations? So I put the voyage seems tough with the word torture. This shows the voyage was agony. So that is the word that I've linked to torture. Another one. It does get very lonely. Remember, if the quote is really obvious, you probably don't need to zoom into it. So I have put, this makes it seem tough as Mike has no one to talk to. But in this one, you could have actually just put, the voyage is tough for Mike as he says he gets very lonely, and just put very lonely in speech marks. Last one, the boat went berserk. Again, it could have said the boat was hard to manage, but berserk, what connotations of that? Well, crazy, unpredictable. So I put, this is tough as it makes the boat sound unpredictable. Remember that you've got to keep linking it back for the question. So remember the question is, how does it show Mike's voyage was tough? If you look at my sentence starters of each of these three quotes, I put the voyage seems tough. This makes it seem tough. This is tough. It might sound a bit repetitive and predictable, but the examiner's more bothered about the quote and your explanation. Remember, if the quote is obvious, you don't need to explain it. So I've already explained that one. Remember, if you're trying to do 7 or 8, 9, 10 quotes in 13 minutes, a couple of them can just be really simple. And make sure you time manage. I say to my students 7 to 10 quotes, but really it's whatever you can do in that 13 to 15 minutes. If you've done one quote in the 13 to 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. If you've done 8 quotes, it doesn't matter. You just move on to the next question. The main way people do not get a grade 4 is by not finishing the exam. If you've got a couple of minutes at the end of the exam, go back and see if you can add a couple of more quotes. Don't be that person who's just sat looking at the window as they're in the exam hall. Okay, so 127 hours then. How does Aron Ralston show how awful his accident was? Okay, so bit of context with it. You can sort of tell by this picture. This guy's a bit of an adventurer and he's going through the canyon, sort of like jumping through them. He falls off a ledge. A rock goes down, falls down like a boulder, as you can see. His arm is stuck between the wall of the canyon and the boulder, and he's there for 127 hours until he gets the courage to literally cut his own arm off with a little penknife that he has. Yep, so here's the movie poster, and there is the extract that we are looking at. So highlight 6 to 10 quotes that show how awful Aron's accident was. Okay, so I will read the extract out. I've highlighted some stuff already. Seemingly in slow motion, the rock smashes my left hand against the south wall. My eyes register the collision, and I yank my left arm back as the rock ricochets. The boulder then crushes my right hand and ensnares my right arm at the wrist, palm facing in, thumb up, fingers extended. The rock slides another foot down the wall with my arm in tow, tearing the skin off the lateral side of my forearm. Then silence. My disbelief paralyzes me temporarily as I step at the sight of my arm vanishing into the implausibly small gap between the fallen boulder and the canyon wall. Within moments, pain wells up through the initial shock. Good Christ, my hand, the flare in agony throws me into a panic. I grimace and growl a sharp. My mind commands my body, get your hand out of there. I yank my arm 3 times in a naive attempt to pull it out, but I'm stuck. Pain shoots from my wrist up my arm. Frantic, I cry out, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. My desperate brain conjures up the no doubt apothecarial story in which an adrenaline-soaked mum lifts an overturned car to free her baby. I'm sure it's made up, but I do know for certain that right now, while my body chemicals are raging at full blood, is the best chance I have to free myself with brute force. I shove against a large boulder, heaving against it, pushing with my left hand, lifting with my knees pressing under the rock. I get good leverage and brace my thighs under the boulder and thrust upward repeatedly, grunting, come on, move. Nothing. So there's the extract. Okay, so remember the question is, how does Aron show how awful his accident was? So pause the video and see if you can work out why I've highlighted what I've highlighted, or if there's anything in particular that you maybe think should have been highlighted. So I'll give you a quick example where it shows the power of the accident straight away in the first couple of lines. It says, seemingly in slow motion, the rock smashes my left hand and the boulder crushes my right hand. So the verbs that could have been used could have been knocks or trips or traps. but both smashes and both crushes suggest the power of the boulder. They basically also suggest that the boulder is so strong that it's torn and put Aron's arm into pieces. If you crush something, it breaks. If you smash a plate, it breaks in pieces. That is what the reader is trying to get over to us. Okay, so one was my flaring agony. This gif is meant to be as sarcastic with a footballer. Again, it could have said he was in pain. He could have said he was hurt. Why have they decided to use the word agony? Okay, so what connotation does it have? So if I would say agony, you'd say torturous, suffering, pain, but not just pain, severe pain. Okay, so my PEE is the writer uses the word agony to show that Aron is in severe pain because I'm linking my red to my blue. Remember, you don't have to write 7 or 8 sentences. All you will be doing is repeating your point. Pick a word, say why it's been used. Okay, so there's my quote and there's my explanation of why it shows and how it shows the accident was awful. Okay, again, the one I talked about earlier, the rock smashes my left hand. Okay, this is what you do if you smash something. Okay, and I've put the writer uses the word smashes to describe the force of the rock. It suggests it's violent, it's a powerful one. I could have gone on there to say that it's put Aron's hand into pieces. There's my quote, and there's my explanation of why the accident was awful. Notice here how I'm not saying the verb smashes, I'm putting the word smashes. You can put verb if you want. I would say probably don't, just because a lot of students do get the word class wrong, and you probably won't get a mark if you said the writer uses the adjective smashes if you made a mistake. So using the word, you don't have to describe what the word is, you don't get any marks for it, so I would just say the word. Okay, so here's some more. Crushes tells the reader that the rock has broken and deformed Aron's arm. Ensnares, almost be like a human dictionary. What does ensnares mean? Well, it means it traps. So ensnares shows the rock has trapped his arm and he is stuck. So that shows how bad his accident is, that he can't move. Tearing the skin off, again, shows the power of a rock. It's turning his arm into pieces. And I've put my disbelief paralyses. So this shows the accident is so bad that it's hurt him physically, but mentally it's so bad it's even Aron's mind and brain are incapable of movement. Because again, be a human dictionary. What does paralyzed mean? It means you can't move, or certain parts of you can't move. Okay, I got some more here. The one I gave you. Then he also repeats the word pain a few times, and this describes how the pain wells up. He says he has a desperate brain. This shows he's in an extremely serious situation. He's feeling hopeless. So again, picking out the word desperate there. And the last one I put is the extract ends with the one word sentence nothing. This signposts to the reader that he's in real trouble. Even though he's using all of his strength, the rock does not budge at all. Yeah, so nothing suggests not even 1%. Okay, and there they all are together. So how many quotes have I done? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 10 quotes in about 7 or 8 sentences. All of them are not more, none of them are more than 2 sentences. If you did this, you'd be really getting a good grade. Okay, so pick a quote out, whatever the question is. Say if the question was, how does the writer make the extract tense? Pick 7 or 8 quotes out that make it really tense, that the writer didn't have to use but used on purpose to make it more tense, and just say why they've been used. Okay, hope that's been useful for you.